would agree.
So when we did the, going into the court of Ancient of Days, I first did it on my own after speaking to the seer lady prophet Sylvia, and I did it on my own because after speaking to her, I felt like I came under attack of pain, but that was my hands and body. And it seemed to lift quickly. So we decided to do it for the family with Mommy and Emily. And we did it. But I then, after we did it, I felt like I told you that I felt like someone was pulling out my teeth, especially the lower ones. It felt like they had got a magalo and they're going, whoa. And it was painful. So I prayed, and it subsided a bit, but then it carried on. So I was saying to God, what is this? It was so painful, especially one tooth. When hot water would touch it or something warm, it would feel like the whole pain down my body. So God said it is war. To me, it is warfare. So I said, okay, the warfare is still going on. Drama, understand, I'm experiencing the warfare from the Ancient of Days court that is going on. And then we prayed again for, I think it was Jude. I think it was, we prayed for. And the pain reduced by 80%. And then yesterday we prayed again, because yesterday we did quite a lot. We went to the Origin Gates for Jude, and then we also went to the Ancient of Day court to finalize, some, because we're thinking about the altar of Baal. Emily was seeing, like, she was saying that because Jude has struggled in terms of finances. So Emily was seeing, like a setup where almost like an altar, and it had to do with him. So we kind of went to the court again to ask that the horn of Baal be destroyed. And it felt that pain went completely. So I haven't had, but I'm telling you that pain was something else. It was something else. That I didn't know how painful warfare can be, but it was so painful. The only thing that's maybe lingering is heaviness in my arms, which I was asking God this morning what it's about, and it was, I've lost it. I've lost what it was, but it's almost tied to poverty, impoverishment, or something. It feels like my body is I use it to discern things. I didn't know. It feels that way. But also I ask God a lot when I feel something, before running to medication or binding with this, I say, God, what is this? So that I can wait and sense is anything. If there isn't, then maybe I can get a tablet to take. But it was, I think there's real, it's a higher court. In terms of, we go to the mobile court, but it's a higher court.
The Ancient of Days court.
Yeah, it feels to me like it's a higher court. It feels like, it's a place to take those issues about peoples, languages, and nations, and working out, especially if you think about our culture, what horns have been blown, and what, because I don't know if I did tell you about they use the thrones of the departed.
Oh, you hinted on it.
Because in my mind, God doesn't remove your throne. It is on earth as it is in heaven. So your throne remains. Even, you still have it. But when people are departed, that's when they use the throne for nefarious, practice. So yeah. It's been good. So I was hoping that
a connection for which you're making the departed as thrones. But wondering how the seer involved the horns, okay, the blowing of the what is a Mindy.
Yeah, in my mind, the thrones are a seat of judgment. They're a place of a lot of power. They're a place of rulership. A lot can be sent off from a throne, and it is a place of dominion. Because in Daniel 7, from 9 to the end, there's a place where it says that dominion and kingship will be returned to the saints of God. We are the saints of God, or the people of God. But what and I hope I'm answering your question, but what was the workers of Baal, or the people who use sorcery, are aware of this. And so they harness the throne of the departed and defile it with an antichrist spirit, and then use that to have dominion over, to set to war, because war is in essence is trying to dominate or to destroy or to annihilate. And so they use that throne to try and then destroy lives. And it might be through Mindy or whatever, but they harness the power that comes out of the throne. So that's why when we're praying, we called all the thrones of the departed. We didn't say we were going to, we called the thrones because thrones are created beings by God. Like sit on them, but we called for the Antichrist spirit to be cleansed off of them, and the fire that refines to be released upon them, and everything that is, using them to be obliterated. It made sense to me when I said it. I didn't know any of that, but God just dropped it in my brain. But it made sense to me. It might be that when you start to use it in prayer, God drops you a different nugget, which is very different, because we know in part, there must be a lot more to this than I know. There's another nugget that's going to come out of it, because it doesn't feel like that's the only thing, that exists around these thrones and horns.
Looking back, with another group that was also like submitting to one united body. So like they will help the newbies how to find their scroll and get their throne and mountain and like that. But I was wondering, because I was waiting for my turn, the encounter was just like there was water, there were dragons, there were, before somebody even ever gets on the throne. It was just like a thriller to me. Until when I go to mine, I also just like a thriller, dragon and water and fire. around, because you had to around so that you do not get on your throne.
Mm.
So in ascending to your throne,
Mm.
there must be a conquering of all this that is around your mountain.
Mm.
Because once you get on your mountain, that's your throne, and that's where you rule from, and that's even in Christ Jesus. But why still, like, you know, the protection around there until that was conquered? That's when we realized that our angels were actually waiting for that. They were there.
And also, if you imagine, like the departed, those in our families never had a chance to take up their thrones. The dragons and the fire and all that stayed. That's why you will hear that they are sending you Majini. Majini are the glorious ones. No, are they the glorious ones? Yes, but the counterfeit ones which come. So Majini are lights, isn't it? Like light orbs. So and I suppose that is the fire. In my mind, I'm just extrapolating from what you've said. Not that I have a revelation, but it's just thinking if there was dragons and fires and water, then our bodies are made of water. If they can distort that water and channel something into it, using water spirits, they get to you. But if you've got all that under control, and back under the dominion of Christ, and you're seated on your throne under the dominion of the throne of Christ, the enemy has nowhere to access. But if then our relatives, our relations are still, their thrones are still having that on, all that stuff going on, they need to be aligned back to Christ Jesus, removing the Antichrist spirit from them. Because all that is the Antichrist, because Christ came in love. He doesn't want to harm people, he doesn't want to kill people, he doesn't want to cause them disease. But all these things are there, you know, because of the Antichrist spirit. I don't know if that even answers your question, but I just thought when you talked about, you know, the one united body and going up. Actually, even me, the first time I went up to my throne or mountain, was it with them or with Mike? I felt like I was going down a spiral to go up. This is the way it felt to me. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a while.
It's good that at least, you know, you get things from various platforms, and when you find your own encounter, it's not anything that is strange. So you identify and you are taking back to the Father, and also hearing more teachings about the very part of us that is still struggling here is not big. We as receiving or forgetting and then operate from our point of amnesia, we tend to work it out of zooming. It's a zooming in. We see the small picture and then amplify it into the details that are still not leading anywhere. But if you zoom in and the very image that, take it from when somebody's doing a map like Google Earth, you can see down to the street, but do you need that? So look at when you bring to, like, you zoom out, you see the whole earth.
You see
so
the
that's
detail.
I think how, yeah, we need to do it. We need to deal with it that way. Gives you the impression that the smallest you count, but you are looking it on a very wrong angle. What is overwhelming is not really it. is there, but according to what the Lord sees as you capable of, you are looking into what is minute. That challenged me because, you know, things as small as a pain on the toe can consume you, and even forget that, you know, it's there as a fact. It's an experience of our emotions we attach to it. But comparing to what I was trying to say on our thrones, it matters to him that we are operating on our throne. Much as our throne is really immersed or entangled in what his throne is. So in operating from him in the throne that he is, through what throne he's interested, that we get a picture of it in the big picture. We are just a process on it, which is not bad, because now we are aware there's something like that we need to work on.
And it might be as we continue, God opens things more to us. It might be that he, you know, even with the thrones, there's a lot more. Because that is coming to a position of rulership as son. And, you know, where he says we will judge angels. There's a lot more growing to do, to the point that you will judge angels. And I wonder whether there is something about cleansing our thrones and those of people of a family that then takes us to that position where, as a language, as a people, we're then able to judge angels. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm not saying that's the case. But it feels there's a lot more to be learned about. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. We are open and willing. That's a good place to be. Because there you will be open to ask a question. When you receive an answer, you know how to integrate it with what you are trying to work on. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a remembrance of what excited me about those dragons. I say, no, it didn't come as a single mountain for me. And I said, is it why I was so tortured? Because, you know, it didn't come as a single mountain for me. It came like a range of mountains.
It is a range of mountains.
I mean, do I go back and receive a mountain? I said, that's your mount. You are receiving a range of mountains.
Yeah.
And I was like, you people, maybe you got the wrong person.
So it is a range of mountains.
Because I said, you got the wrong person here.
It's not just one single mountain. It's the
yeah. No, it was a range of mountains with many peaks too.
But the thing about it in Daniel 7 says that the mountains bow. No, not the mountains, the throne. So you're on the mountain, but your throne bows down.
Okay.
So your throne bows down, so the Ancient of Days enters the court. So it's not your usual court system where we go into the mobile court and it's, you know, Ancient of Day comes, we stand or whatever, we rise. But here, your throne bows down so that the Ancient of Days can come. And then those thousands and thousands who are before him come. 10,000s upon 10,000 stand before him. And then Christ, as the Son of Man, he doesn't come into that court. Remember, he doesn't come into that court as Jesus Christ. He comes as the Son of Man. Because as the Son of Man, he can judge the Nephilim.
Okay.
Yes. Why can he judge the Nephilim? Because the Nephilim are a product, not the Nephilim, the Rephaim or the demons. They are a product of angels and the daughters of man. So they are part man, part angelic or whatever. So because Christ comes as the Son of Man, he can judge them. So these things like incubus and succubus, that could be possibly, if it's something that is in the bloodline, in the family, is something that could be taken in, because Christ comes as the Son of Man on his throne of dominion. And it's knowing, you know, because at times we use in Jesus's name, or we use, you know, everything's about Jesus, but at times you need Christ to come as the Son of Man.
Agree.
You know,
agree.
To deal with things.
But
yeah, so I think there's a lot more to learn from the throne. It feels like there's more to come, another aspect of it to be opened up to us.
It's necessary. That's how the progression comes. Otherwise, we're gonna be plateaued. Just a level up and high, a level up and high, a level up and high. Also grows us into ability of accommodating it and function well there with an increased knowledge. Just to comfort myself, I can say, goes on and said, for what is happening, it's not for nothing. For what we encountered, we consider it late, you said, it's not also for nothing. And how it's going to add up and make up a perfect piece, I do not know. But I'm just open to say the bad that was is for the good that the Lord is framing up.
And
now,
also,
all things that work out for good, I do not know, but he's framing up something, really, maybe a masterpiece, I don't know.
And also there's something that the enemy shows his hand. That is the thing, isn't it? The enemy shows his hand and then therefore gives you a chance to take up as a son of God, you know, the earth is groaning, he's waiting for the sons of God, you know. So the enemy shows his hand, whether that hand is through divisions or through arguments or through whatever else, disease, pain, heartache. He's showing his hand, you know, and has always shown his hand. But then we get caught up in the event. We get caught up in the fact that he's shown his hand, and we want to, you know, fight it in our physical ability, rather than actually saying, Father, let's meet. There's come up something. We're looking for the God of breakthrough. What is it called? Baalperazim, isn't it? Where I think David fought and defeated the Rephaim in the Rephaim, who are the children of the Nephilim. Yeah. In the valley. But God told him, don't go until I say so, because he became the God of breakthrough. So that's the thing about the Bible, that actually God gives us ways, because there must be instances when we ask for the God of breakthrough to come up. So even in that court, it might be that, you know, you can call on Jesus as the Son of Man, but then in another instance, call on the God of breakthrough to go before you and set a path that will bring destruction to the Rephaim. Because at times I think we just say, Father, Abba, Father, Abba, Father, but there's so much more to him than just Abba, Father. And those aspects of God are important to tease out, to know, because he will put an unction in your heart. It's not always that you say, oh, I'll call on Jesus, the Son of Man. You put an unction in your heart to call on the God of breakthrough in a situation. And, you know, because it exists in the Bible. It exists in the Word, you know, who he's called. Because ahead, yet, you know, Imagine fighting with the Rephaim. They even used to eat. They would eat human beings. You know, they got so hungry. They had sex with the sons of man, with animals, with whatever, and then they even started eating them after they had eaten everything.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The trace of them is there. Just maybe now very compounded, maybe a percentage of the angelic, but it's still there. You can see the what they say, the attributes of it in humans sometimes. I said this is not purely human.
Mm. And it might be that what things like, perversion in sex, is very much from that. People maybe who have sex with animals, very much from that route. That you can see there is something like that. Well, then I don't know. There's people who also have sex with the dead, so I don't know where that comes in. But there's all this perversion, which is very much a root from the Rephaim, the Nephilim, kind of.
You ever heard about the big churches or the occult who do sex rituals?
I did hear that.
When you talk about that, it's just bizarre. Not that I'm shocked, but I'm saying there is a layer and there is upon many levels. That when you put your mind into it, is just a sea of things, deep, many dark places with the just sex perversion alone.
And I suppose there's especially when it happens to children in satanic ritual abuse, which happens in very much a very closed community. That what they're doing, they're looking for the adrenochrome from young children. So they torture them, they sexually abuse them to do all this. But what happens to the child? They then have a split personality. The abuse causes them to be so split in their personality because all the people who are supposed to be caregivers are the abusers. And maybe as a child, and they might do things that torture them to get that adrenochrome, but those who don't get that torture, they if they are sexually abused, even as maybe as young as 2, our spirits are old enough. The record stays in there. There's something happening. So it's not that people say, they're young, they don't know what's happening to them. But they have a record in their soul. The soul gets fractured or altered.
But that's also just a programming of the enemy to fragment them.
Indeed.
At that point.
Because when the enemy likes you not to know, and in the kingdom, you know how they say in court, ignorance is no defense. The enemy also knows ignorance is no defense. If you're ignorant of the abuse you had, the things that happened to you, therefore you can't bring them up for prayer and you can't have restoration for them. Ignorance is no defense. He will use it against you. He will torment you with it. He will do everything. Because the Bible says, my people suffer for lack of knowledge. And knowing what has happened is important. Because then you can take it to the Father. It's not knowing what has happened, so then you condemn others and feel condemned and do all this stuff. And I suppose that's what human beings do. But it's so that you know this is a witness against me. It was of no fault of my own, especially being a child, but it's a witness against me that keeps being used, and I have to do something about it. So that is the same principle in terms of we need to know. Ignorance won't save you from the enemy. He won't. Because he'll use anything and everything.
Everything. I know why. He's looking. And that in First Peter, he's looking for who?
Yeah.
And that's the way. He's looking for every chance, every means he can access. But we are so blinded, and it's just mercy and grace for the way he is now opening us up to the truth. And we need to really maintain that, because we can also go out in judgment for what is not bringing life. You are supposed to judge, to bring light, and to bring justice.
Yeah. True. But it's always remembering, and also not feeling condemned. It's always remembering that we're human beings. And even when you see the judgment, you notice that you brought a judgment quickly, going back and pulling it out, repenting, moving on and not holding on to self-condemnation. Because it just makes things worse.
Wow. Yeah, I love this. There is now moments when I say, why isn't it get to move so fast? And then when you get something dropped in your spirit and say, how will I really work this out? It's so big. But in engaging the Father, you just see that you're well able. Just stick with it. Just stick with it. And he's happy. That really encourages me many times. You just see that he's happy with you are getting to him. And I just amazed that at a point. I mean, if I didn't know what I know, I don't know what I would be doing now, or how I would be handling all this. But you get to a point that say, thank you that I know what I know now. Just help me help others. Help me that what I know will be of great influence for you.
But it's also asking, does he want you to help others, or does he want you to clean yourself out? So that then they can start to hear you. It might be that that's the first step.
So they can start hearing me, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because like you pointed out first was like, go and withdraw these judgments of your that is against you from, because now that I hear it, it got me crying, but I'm thankful that I got to hear it, because I wouldn't know. That could be even maybe another blind, or what has turned their ears away, or just something that has raised a shield and defense that they cannot even ever pay attention to what
you're
would
saying.
help.
It's true. It's true. At
Yeah.
times it's good. The enemy shows his hand. I told you, he shows his hand.
Yes. That's it's like if they knew who the Lord Jesus Christ was, they wouldn't have crucified him, because he lives forever. You imagine if he didn't die, he would still be alive here, because he doesn't die. But they had to really like kill him. They didn't know. I say, after they have done what they regretted doing, too late.
Too late. They gave the key to us forever and ever.
Yes. Yes. That's a lovely portion right there, because the enemy showed up with this wrath, and you are blinded to it. You miss the whole picture, or you miss it totally. It wouldn't have come, and you miss it. I don't know when to come back again, because that's that opportunity has gone just like that.
Yeah, but it doesn't take away the fact that it can be very difficult, especially when you're in the thick of it.
I know.
It's very difficult.
That's what will make you miss it.
Mm.
And I said, you feel the pinch.
Mm. It is a hard one.
Mm.
Mm.
Uh,
Feels like you've got work to do.
yeah, you say that right. You said it right. Yeah, there's what to take back to the Father. I'm not going to assume that is. Yeah, I'm available to be that instrument, but I'm taking it back there. What can I do? That's a good plate full of discussion when we get an encounter together. I said, oh, Father, this is here. No, I cannot. You have to take it away. Give me how.
Yes. So, I mean, we've got 3 minutes, so I'll end that here, the video here. Then we can chat a bit.